Ziano says, yeah, probably. Another person says, no, it's not that easy. Welcome to NFL Live, everybody. Dan Orlovsky is here today. We got Marcus Spears and Dan Graziano. Guys, let's dive into the latest with the champs and all these moves that they continue to make as we continue on here. I mean, they said they were all coming back. It sounded nice. Now a combo of sorcery and selflessness. The Bucs are basically all coming back to see if they can win it again. According to Adam Schefter, defensive tackle and Ndamukong Suh finalizing a $10 million deal to come back, and the Bucs extended offensive tackle Donovan Smith on a 2-year, $31.8 million deal, also reported by Adam Schefter. So with the re-signing of Suh, the Buccaneers are now slated to return 21 of 22 starters from Super Bowl 55. Running back Leonard Fournette, right now the only remaining free agent that they'd want to target. Tampa Bay's 21 starters returning would tie the 2011 Packers for the most returning starters for a Super Bowl winner in the salary cap era since 1994. Now remember, that 2011 Packers team went on to post a 15-1 record before falling short in the divisional round of the playoffs. So, Graz, they made all these contracts work somehow. What does it all mean?
Well, you might, from those highlights we saw at the beginning of the show, you might think the Buccaneers spent all their money on alcoholic beverages, but they didn't. They're actually bringing back the team that won the Super Bowl pretty much whole hog. I mean, this is, they were able to adjust some contracts, extend Tom Brady, extend Levante David, re-sign Shaq Barrett. They've used some mechanisms the Buccaneers don't traditionally use, like these void years that a lot of teams are using on the tail ends of contracts that dump dead money cap hits into future years. This has been something the Buccaneers have avoided in years past, but they did it this year for Brady, for Levante David, for the Barrett deal, because they are so determined to try and keep this team together in a year where the salary cap dropped. And Laura, so far, they have pulled it off.
Yeah, the Buccaneers have the hardest thing to get in the NFL. That's a we over me culture. Right. I mean, and yes, Tom Brady deserves some credit for that. There's no question about it. So does Levante David for taking less than he could have. So does Chris Godwin for signing his franchise tag instead of holding out. Rob Gronkowski taking less. Suh taking less. It's rare. What has happened over the last 2 months in Tampa is rare. It's the hardest thing to get in the NFL. And I think what's happened is these players tasted winning. They tasted championships. As a competitor, that is the thing that is the most intoxicating aspect of playing sports. Winning, wanting more. There's never enough. Once you win once, you want it again. And you want to keep doing it. And these players, every one of them, their general manager, Jason Licht, their head coach, Bruce Arians, their coordinators, Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich, all these players that have taken less, they tasted winning at the highest level. And they want more, and that's why they've been able to keep the band together.
So, Marcus, can they get more? Can this Buccaneers team repeat now that they keep bringing all these guys back?
They can repeat. I mean, look, everybody has an opportunity to win the Super Bowl before the season starts. But obviously, we know teams are more positioned and well positioned to win. And that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are. They are well positioned to be right back in that game next year. Now, obviously, we're talking about NFL football. We're talking about not only the war of attrition with injuries, but other teams identifying things that they need to do in order to beat you. It's harder to stay on the top of the mountain than to climb to the top of the mountain. That is why you don't see teams repeating in the NFL like we think some should, right? All of the runs that Belichick and Brady had and won all of those Super Bowls, there were teams in the midst of that winning Super Bowls as well. We just forget to mention them in that long run. Look at Kansas City. They got back there. They lost. Like, this is what happens. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have positioned themselves in order to be in the conversation leading into the preseason. And for everything that we think, they will have a good enough team to get there again. They are living luxury right now.
Mm-hmm. I love that word. First of all, 21 out of 22 starters back. 2, they're going to be better. Especially if they draft. Their general manager, Jason Licht, if he drafts this year like he has the last 3 years, they will get a bunch of good players. They're getting to draft with luxury rather than necessity. Look at these last 3 drafts. 7 out of the 8 first or second round picks in the last 3 years have become impactful players. Think last year, Tristan Wirfs, Antoine Winfield Jr. 2 years ago. Look at those are the first 3 rounds. I mean, we're talking about a team that has got that many starters back from the Super Bowl team And they don't have to go into the draft going, we got a hole, we have a need. They can draft out of luxury. And if Jason Licht, they have 7 picks this year, 1 in each round. If he gets the players that he has in the first 3 rounds, like he has in the last 3 years, this team is going to be better than it was last year. They get to draft out of luxury rather than necessity.
Yeah, Dio, and listen, this is an opportunity, right? We have all of these narratives going around in the NFL right now about quarterbacks being taken and having the opportunity to sit back, learn, and watch things develop. And teams and organizations have an opportunity to watch them to develop. A guy that comes to my mind is Kyle Trask. We keep talking about all of these quarterbacks. He had a great year at the University of Florida this year. He would have the opportunity to sit behind Tom Brady and Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich and that coaching staff and be in that culture without any pressure to play.
No doubt.
None whatsoever outside of Tom Brady having an injury or them being up by a lot and he comes in and has an opportunity to get time. This is where you are right now, Tampa. You are in a better position than 95% of the teams in the NFL because you already field the team that can win a Super Bowl, as they proved, but you also have draft picks in order to solidify positions, create depth, maybe find the quarterback that's going to lead you after Tom Brady as well. Kyle Trask is a guy that came to my mind thinking about the luxury and the opportunity they have in this draft.
Yeah, one thing I want to hit on, because I think it's a great point by you, is you can go there as a quarterback and develop without the pressure to win. So often, young quarterbacks coming into the NFL, they have to do 2 things at once. They got to develop as a quarterback from college to the NFL, while also the burden of, hey, you have to win us a game on Sunday. Those 2 things are nearly impossible to get done. So I think that point is huge, that the quarterback that goes there can just focus strictly on development rather than, hey, I got to do whatever it takes for us to win a game on Sunday.
And I think people kind of think about Kyle Trask and they think maybe he's a little bit of a statue in the pocket. This guy's actually pretty mobile within the pocket, a big body to try and bring down.
Yeah.
I think he's being a little bit undersold in this draft. People are focused more on Mac Jones. Kyle Trask has some Mac Jones similarities there. All right, let's get the latest news around the league with Dan Graziano, and we begin with T.Y. Hilton. What can you tell us, Graz?
Yeah, Laura, really within the last hour, T.Y. Hilton back with the Indianapolis Colts, according to his agents. This is a move that probably would have been characterized as surprising if you'd said it a year ago, but T.Y. Hilton bounced back last year, had a productive year, and is now back in Indianapolis to continue that role along with the young receivers there for new quarterback Carson Wentz. Hilton back to Indianapolis. James White, according to our Jeremy Fowler, is re-signing with the New England Patriots. Pass-catching running back, obviously a big part of what they do in the run game, in the passing game, and a help for Cam Newton or whoever ends up being the starting quarterback in New England this year. White was a free agent, decided he would return home to New England. As we head into the offseason, the NFL and the NFLPA are just starting negotiations on how that offseason is going to work. Remember last year, all the OTAs and mini camps were virtual because of the pandemic. So with the pandemic still ongoing, there's a likelihood that it will have to be virtual again, or at least a good chunk of it. The players would like it to be all virtual. J.C. Tretter, the NFLPA president, has been vocal about wanting to continue some of last offseason's, the way last offseason worked into the future, even once the pandemic is over. So those negotiations are getting started here in the next few days and weeks. And the NFL Finance Committee approved a debt waiver that will allow Washington football team owner Daniel Snyder to effectively double his share of ownership in the team from 40.5% to about 81%. Owners will have to vote on this at the meeting they're having next week. He'll need 24 out of 32. But he had some minority partners that wanted out. Obviously been a rough year off the field for that organization, and he will be able to accommodate them by buying their shares.
All right, Graz with us all show long. More news and notes coming your way on NFL Live. And also, Urban Meyer, not too fond of the league's free agency process. The reason the word discipline is going to be crucial for the Jags in the next couple months. And still to come, we're revisiting Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft 3.0 to discuss a possible shifting of the guard in the NFC South at the QB position. Why one of us here is torn about a particular fit. That's when we return. NFL Live is brought to you by Disney Plus and the Mighty Ducks, Game Changers.